following is a Podbeard production.
EST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, opinions, and more. This is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We are rolling out of you here today on episode 259 of The Hotter Show right here on Podbeard Network. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I have a kick-ass episode for you here today, as I try to every single week here on The Hotter Show. I'm sitting down and chatting with Tyler Boone, anti-fragile recording artist Tyler Boone. Now, we cover a lot of ground in about just over the hour conversation that we have. We talk about his start in music, how COVID-19 has been affecting him, a little bit of his early career, a little bit about living in Nashville, as well as kind of his career in Nashville and that whole scene, as well as we talk about kind of his songwriting style, writing with people opposed to writing solo. We, of course, talk about kind of his more current career with his latest single, Gettin High, in which the video for it just came out a couple days ago. So be sure to go check that out if you have not yet. I will leave the description in the link below of this episode of the show here. And we, of course, talk about his artist management company, Artist Formula, as well as his bourbon company, Boone's Bourbon. So we cover a lot of ground with Tyler here. He wears a lot of different hats and is definitely the definition of someone who straight up hustles. He's a busy cat, and he took the time to chat with me. So Tyler, I very much appreciate that, my man. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to roll right into this episode here today. My chat with Tyler Boone. Let's get into it. All right, gang, super excited to be joined on the show today. He is the co-founder of Artist Formula, is the founder of Boone's Bourbon, Boone's is Bourbon. I don't know what the hell I just said. He is, of course, an anti-fragile recording artist. His new single, Gettin High, just dropped a little while ago, and it is kick-ass. We're going to talk all about that and all about his career. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on to the show, Tyler Boone. Tyler, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Just living the life and trying to, keep things going here in this crazy world that we're in.
For sure, man. It's been a straight hustle since like March. I can't wait for 2021, and that's such a sad thing to say.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, anytime I start talking with people lately, it's always kind of almost like the elephant in the room. Like, okay, let's just kind of get it out of the way and get it over with. Like,
for sure.
Because so many people are, especially lately, it's been a huge topic, especially here in Canada. Are we going to see live shows in a regular capacity in 2020? And real quick, just before we jump into anything else, obviously COVID talk and all that, just real quick.
Yep.
What are things like for you right now? Like, I know you're out of LA. How are things at there? How have you kind of been hanging the last few months during this whole thing?
Well, we're actually trying to, as like on a personal level, we're trying to like go get a house to go rent, because we live. I mean, maybe I could turn it. You probably won't be able to see it, but that's like all like a Hollywood right there.
Oh, okay.
So we live like in a really awesome spot, but we can't do anything. And like some of the bars are opened up. But like we went the other day just to get like to-go food. Everyone's wearing. We always wear a mask and gloves because the cases here are always super high. But we went into the bar called Birds to get food, and our buddy there, he's been bartending there forever, and he was like, I was like, hey man, how's everything going? And he was like, dude, this sucks. You know what I mean? So like, because I'm pretty sure for most of them is like they were on unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that you can screw yourself is if you refuse to go back to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they close again, you can get back on unemployment. You know what I mean? So he has to go. And I'm just saying as an example, like it stressed us the F out. You know what I mean? To see how stressed out he was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for us, I mean, my girlfriend MJ, we both work in music, and so like she's working right now, just typing away. We just work all the time, but we've been super lucky for us, especially as a musician, because I made my living for years just gigging all the time. Because I'm from Charleston, I used to live in Nashville, and that's all I did, and it was great, and you can make so much damn money if you just do it all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved out here, my company Artist Formula kind of took off, and then the Boones, and I still play gigs and still putting out music, but everything kind of shifted, and it was right. I mean, I got so lucky; it was right at the right time because there's no touring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my company Artist Formula is all about the internet. It's like Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And so all everyone cares about now, including we get hired by major labels to a ton of indie labels, is numbers. You know what I mean? And legit numbers. And so we're really good at it. And so we've just kind of just like, it's been like you're mentioning before we started, like, hey, like he always hits me up at like 3 a.m. or something. Yeah. It's like not because I'm up, it's because I'm still working.
This guy's still working, folks. I get up for work sometimes at 4 a.m. or so, and it's like he responds to me, and I'm like I said earlier, is this cat still up, or is he up this early? Wasn't he on Facebook at like 12 o'clock? And
still working, man. Because like the guys at ours form too. A lot of guys I work with, every day we talk. They're over in Europe, so they hit me up at midnight, and then I got to do some things, and then it's just like I guess it's more of like a hustle where all this business is coming in, and you don't want anyone to feel like they're being left out. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So I'm just trying to get back to everybody at the same time, but it's been great. Like, we're super lucky, man. I know a lot of musicians, like our good friend Hoogie, he's not touring. Yeah. Shinedown's not touring. And then that single Gettin High, the only reason, I swear to God, because I've known Bass for years, but the only reason he mixed the single is because he's just at home.
He's sitting at home. Want to mix my single? Sure.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, he agreed, So that was pretty cool. So, yeah. Well, it's just a lot of work, man. We just work all the time. We're always home. The only fun thing we do is maybe drink wine and watch Shark Tank. So
well, that's it, man. That's a fine program too. What kind of wine you guys drinking?
You
have a favorite?
My girlfriend she loves wine. I'm not really a wine person, but if she pours it for me, I'll drink it. but I'll drink bourbon. So I drank a ton of it last night. So
bourbon sipping all the time over there for our man here, but we're definitely going to talk about that because like I said, you wear a lot of different hats and you have a lot of things going on and always hustling, and it's inspiring. Like, ever since I added you on like Facebook and that, like it's especially someone like me where like, like I said earlier, I was late getting on here because I'm just like, oh my god, all these things going, but it's cool to see someone doing the same thing and just hustling all the time. And not, let me be clear, guys, not hustling like, like some people be like, oh man, we're straight hustling, and it's like, no, you're not. No. You think you are, but no.
No, for sure. I hate I was telling my girlfriend the other day, I hate it when people DM you on Instagram and they'll be like, let's work. You're like, dude, I hate that term. You know what I mean?
Work.
Like, let's work. Or they're basically just like, hey, man, can you put me on a Spotify playlist or, for free? I hate that term,
Yeah.
Or like, we're hustling. Like, dude, you're not doing anything, Especially when it comes to music these days, you can definitely promote yourself very well as an independent. You just got to put the work in, and you got to spend the money. You know what I mean? So a lot of musicians all the time will be like, oh, "This is the best song you ever heard." I'm like, well, it's more about talent. It's more about 90%. What's the term? Like 10% talent, 90% perspiration,
hustle or something like. Yeah, there it is.
Sweat. You know what I mean? So you could. How many bands out there you hear that like you're so tired of that song on the radio? Where it's okay, you know what I mean? But those guys probably definitely hustle their ass off to make it on the radio. There's a band from Canada that I love, and my single now is going on the radio a little bit. They're definitely a little bit bigger because they're much more known. But the Glorious Sons.
Oh yeah, I know.
I love that band. And then that new single, Close to the Sky. If you listen to their old stuff, it's more southern rock, like kind of Leonard Skinner. And then this is one where they kind of went like alternative rock with it, like poppy. And that single's huge, man. I love that song. So. Yeah,
that's a badass track. Yeah, Glorious Sons are
all over the radio, though. It's all over the radio, especially in the United States, too. They're crushing it. So
that's awesome. Well, it's funny because I have this conversation a lot with people where, like, we'll talk about bands that, like, have kind of revived, just to speak on Glorious Sons for a second, have kind of, like, revived classic rock and roll and stuff. And
for sure.
My response is always, well, where did it go? You just haven't been paying attention. But it's funny. A lot of people talk about, like, bands like Rival Sons or Greta Van Fleet or whatever, and I'm like, what about Glorious Sons, man? Because they're fully original. Like, I don't hear.
Oh no, dude, I'm not the one to try and hate here, but like Greta Van Fleet, it sounds like Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean?
You're preaching the choir on that one.
It's nothing. It's nothing original. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just they got really promoted, and I remember they won a Grammy. And Shinedown was up for a Grammy that year.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, they should have got it. So it's just interesting. But a band like Glorious Sons, it's definitely its own really cool thing. A lot of denim in their music videos, they're
a lot of denim.
Awesome. The there's another music video they just put out that I love a lot, and the lead singer now like looks like Post Malone on stage. Like he's just really like kind of looks like a pop star now, and it's just cool. It's cool. They just seem different. I like it. So
definitely so, and they're definitely a band. They're a band to watch for sure. If you're someone watching or listening to this right now, you know, who hasn't heard the Glorious Sons, go check them out because they're
killer.
Yeah,
they're killer.
Definitely one of the best bands to come out of Canada in a while for sure. And I know a lot of fantastic bands in Canada. Let me be very clear. I'm a Canadian podcast who focuses on music and stuff, but badass band for sure. But let's get back to you for a sec here. Let's go back because I always love talking about this with people. Where did the musical journey for you start? Like, what was some of the first music that you ever heard, and what was it about music that kind of you were like, you know what, this is kind of what I wanna focus my life on here?
I guess, you know, to make that a lot shorter than longer, make it simple. Most kids, they start music in like middle school. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like when I started playing guitar, it was pretty. You know, it's a pretty common story. Just in high school, there was ballad bands. You know, and back then, so my sophomore year, I graduated high school in 2008, so that would have been like 2006. And everybody was like, every kid, it was like a big public school, like 3,000 kids. Everyone was into metal. It was cool. Like, it was like Metallica was the shit. And so I was with these buddies of mine. You know what I mean? And like, we were all like, I had like an Ibanez guitar. We all had like a makeshift amp where it was like a Marshall half stack with like a really shitty head on top, you know? And it was all about Battle of the Bands. It was all about that. And you looked like an asshole if you didn't have a big amp. So it was like, you know, now you don't need that stuff. You just need a good amp. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we all had half stacks, and, you know, it was really cool. And that's when came out hardcore music. Remember hardcore?
I sure
like
do.
The pig squealing and all that. And I remember, too, we're at Battle of the Bands. We thought we were going to win. And then all of a sudden this band comes on, and the Battle of the Bands was like the biggest deal, like at our high school. Like everyone went.
Same here, yeah.
Thousands of kids went, and we thought we crushed it. And then this hardcore band gets on. They're all wearing like the tightest pair of jeans and like, you know, just that emo look, you know, the hair's all teased. I was like, what the hell is this? And they totally like won and beat, and all the girls were like, oh my God, you know, it was such a thing. It was such a thing. And so then we weren't cool. We were the metal kids, and then like, there's the hardcore kids, and they were way more popular than everybody else. But it was back then. They started doing that. And then eventually I got into blues music. That's where it all kind of changed. Mm-hmm. And so my dad bought me an Eric Clapton 2008 Crossroads DVD, where it's like, you know, it has a video of John Mayer in there where I hated John Mayer, right? And he looks like an idiot. He's got like these pop collars. He has two of them on. But he plays like a riff to Machine Gun, Jimi Hendrix in there to the intro of one of his tunes. And then that was kind of it. And then everybody on there, Robert Randolph to Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I love Doyle Bramhall II. His dad used to play Steve Ray Vaughan's band. A whole bunch of Austin, Texas guitar players. And so then for high school graduation, my dad got me a American Fender Strat. And then I had it. I am still a guitar nerd, but I used to be really into that stuff back then, where like I was always getting new pedals. And I was modding my guitar, so we had that guitar completely modded. We put Gibson pots in it. We made the magnets backwards, like a very Jimi Hendrix thing, so it's very wacky. So the whole thing's completely worthless now, but I'll never sell it, you know? It's like, that's my strat. But then after that, man, I guess long story short, for the rest of it, I was 18, graduated high school, was going to college, but then I was in a band called Red House, like a blues thing. We were not very good. And then that ended, and then I started just doing Tyler Boone because I was in other bands kind of in between that. And my thing for me is like, you build this band up, you find good energy, you start working, then maybe, because we're all musicians, we're broke, maybe we get a couple songs recorded, you know what I mean? And then the band breaks up and the whole thing's over, you know what I mean? And so I was like, well, if I just do Tyler Boone, I can always have a band and hire people, but if the band will never break up, because I'll put out music, but it's still my thing.
Exactly.
And then everyone gets paid in the band, right? But I get to own the song. Sometimes, obviously, a lot of songs have co-writes on them, so other people own part of it. But then that's where it kind of turned into a business, was touring a whole bunch, and then started getting my songs on the radio in Charleston, then started getting more in the Southeast. It was just like kind of like a waterfall effect, and I was really lucky. And at a young age, like 22, 24, 25, 26, and then, you know, now it's just like a full-time job. But I was open up for people like Sheryl Crow, to the Avett Brothers,
that's badass.
a lot of people. So I did with Zach Myers Shinedown. He does like an acoustic thing. I saw him actually going live on Facebook today. I did one date with him as a connection to the guys that like Hoogie and stuff we're talking earlier. I did one of those, but I started getting dates like that, and then just putting out records, and then I moved to Nashville, and just basically, man, after that it was just like putting out records, touring a whole bunch. But then eventually the thing that kind of made me, I guess, more like a legit business was when I moved to Nashville. I had a big management deal with a big bro country manager, right? And it was like the guy, you know, he manages Kenny Chesney, managed a band now, still does Old Dominion, and I'm just not into that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm more into like bluesy rock, alternative rock, Black Keys, Jack White stuff, or like singer-song Americana, not country. Like, well, not bro country, singing about beers and going.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Real country, not.
Yeah. I'm not into that, right? So I turned down the deal, but then I had all these conversations happening, and so some guy gave me the idea to start a spirit brand with my name on it. He was supposedly going to fund it, and then he didn't. And so it took me, that was 2015, and then 2018 we finally launched it because I was just gigging a whole bunch. I moved back to Charleston for a minute. I was going to move back to Nashville, and I stayed in Charleston, back where the studio is at with like Ocean Industries I was telling about earlier, Eric Bass and all that. I stayed back there because I found a distillery called Strike Pig Distillery, and they were going to give me all their licenses and all that. And that's like the biggest thing when it comes to any spirit thing. It's all about being taxed by the government. And so you need to have licenses. Those are very expensive. And I was like, hey, man, I'm a songwriter. I want to start and they go, yeah, we can do this for you. You know, and then so I had to just get the money. It took me a couple of years. We launched it. And then then my music career started going a different route because, you know, like in Milwaukee, I was trying to figure out where you were living earlier.
Yeah.
you play Summerfest a lot up there. Summerfest is like 2 weeks long. Last year we were supposed to be direct support for Megadeth, but then he had throat cancer, so he canceled. Ugh. And so we were before Robert Randolph, big blues guy. And so anyway, I always, things like that, I'll get my Boone's Bourbon involved. I'm like, hey, if I give you guys a whole bunch of bourbon, like, can I play your festival?
Do something? Yeah.
And it works because then it becomes like a trade where it's like, hey, like everyone wants to play a festival. But with us, it's like I can be like, hey, let's do a barter thing here. Like, I really want to play your thing, but I know you sell alcohol. You know what I mean? So what if I give you a whole bunch of free bourbon and then, you know what I mean? And then they get to make a whole bunch of money off that. We still get paid. But then we get on the festival and then both things get promoted. So so now it's a hustle. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Always doing that. We were supposed to do a whole bunch of festivals this summer, but, you know, it all got canceled. So, but eventually, man, it just it just kind of kept evolving over time. And so now it's like a full-time thing. It's cool. So.
That's badass, and it's cool because with the there's a lot that I want to unpack here with that, but with the, just speaking on like the bourbon and stuff like that, I mean, I'm seeing you put as much time into the bourbon and your brand of that. Sorry, excuse me. I'm seeing you put as much time into that as I am with your music career, and but at the same time, like you're saying, they go hand in hand a lot. Like if you're, you know, it's cool to hear that like you're thinking of things like that. Like, oh, hey, if I go to this festival, I mean, who doesn't want free bourbon? I mean, seriously.
Yeah. but sometimes they assume, like, because it's a liquor, that like, because the big brands like Jack Daniels and whatever, they have huge pockets, and so they'll like, when I do it, I'll get really upset sometimes because they're like, all right, how about $10,000 like trade? Wow. And I'm like, dude, we're not like, no, you know what I mean? And also too, like, I'm offering you something regardless, right? I don't have to offer you anything in my business. Just book me as a band, right? Yeah. And I've had people like ask big dollar amounts. Oh, well, how about just do this instead? I'm like, did you ask the other band that? You know what I mean? It gets pretty convoluted sometimes, and so you got to stand your ground. You know what I mean? Because we're not that big yet. You know what I mean? We're getting there. Every year we're getting bigger. It's only been 2 years, only right under 2 years of sales, which is awesome. But you know, it's very interesting because. You know that they could always use more liquor because if you give them a whole bunch of free bottles, you know what I mean? They can put any price they want in it, and that's all cash money. You know what I mean? And so, but that means we lose on it. You know, it's just a whole thing. Man.
It's kind of a give and take. It's on a much smaller scale, but if it's like, hey, you know, it's like any trade. If I say to someone, hey, give me a sandwich and then I'll promote your band, and they go, it's going to cost $5 or $4 for the sandwich, but then if even one person or two people buy a ticket to see you live or buy your record or buy some merch, it's worth it, you know.
You got to take your wins and losses with it, you know, and you learn as you go, so it's cool. So it's been a a big learning curve. And it's cool too, because every day could be a different thing. Like I try to do everything in one day, and then now I've been like, all right, I need to just do bourbon this day, and then I need to do artist forma this day, and then I need to do Tyler Boone this day. So after this, I'm going to be doing emails all day because we're going to radio with that single Gettin High we just put out. And we're going to radio, but when you go to radio, you got to work it. You know what I mean? Like the promoter emails them, the artist should definitely be doing the same thing too, because they love it. And I send everybody bottles of bourbon. I've sent like tons of radio programmers. The head guy of TikTok just got one the other day.
That's awesome.
Whatever, right? So like there's a lot of radio stations that get them too. And so like a couple of my buddies like in Maryland, he just got his, and it works. The next thing you know, you'll see a report. If you're radio promoter, like, hey, they just added you full rotation. I'm like, oh, sweet, it worked.
Exactly. Giving a gift is always a good thing, especially when it's some delicious bourbon.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude.
Real
absolutely.
Quick, do you like when you realized like you wanted to start like with your Boone's bourbon? Was it always like, okay, I want to do bourbon, or like was there another another liquor you were thinking of doing, or
it was straight up bourbon because last name being Boone, so I was like, oh, Boone's bourbon,
sure.
And what you could do, you could call it Boone's bourbon, and it would be a whiskey, right? But we are a bourbon as well. Do you know the difference between whiskey and bourbon? I actually
have no idea. I was going to ask you that because I don't know anything.
So whiskey's big, right? And whiskey's easier to make. So here are the rules for bourbon. So bourbon has to be majority corn, right? And the corn makes it sweeter as well. Okay. I don't ever think a bourbon should be 100% corn. I've tried a whole bunch of those, and I think it's way too sweet, right? But we are 75% corn, and this is a pretty normal mash bill, actually. So the mash bill is what goes into it. So majority corn, right? And then it's got to be aged. It used to be 2 years and then a year. Now the law is 6 months, aged in, here's the kicker, new barrels, American white oak charred barrels. If it's used a second time, right, that's a whiskey. So that's why it's easier to make a whiskey, because you can go buy all these barrels that have been using them. Now, if it's a new barrel, that's just the term. So bourbon is hotter than whiskey because people in the market are like, oh, it's bourbon, And also, I think it sounds better too than saying whiskey.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So there's that, and then the last term is, oh my gosh, it's majority corn, aged 6 months, American white oak charred barrels, and I feel like there's another one right there. I believe that's it. But with us, we're 75 corn, 21 rye, and 4 barley. So majority corn, that's the bourbon, right? And then we got the rye in it. So have you ever had bullet rye? It's a pretty popular one. I know Canada has all these rules.
It's a mess down here.
we're trying to get Alberta at the moment, and I thought we were going to get it maybe because COVID kind of messed it up. But yeah, no, Ontario is a whole different beast too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But then we have, so the rye makes it spicy, and then the barley makes it like a vanilla ton at the end of it. So that's it.
That sounds good to me, man. I'm excited for the day it gets into Ontario, hopefully one day, because man,
dude, we're trying, man. We've been trying for the past 2 years. It's just a lot of it's by the government. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You got to get approved, and it's a whole thing. It's very competitive. It's very political.
Yeah, you got to have the right kind of label too. Like you got to have French on the label and this and that. No, it's just a big mess.
It's crazy. Alberta's a little easier though, because they have like private stores. I guess every district's different. So anyway, we're trying.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we've been talking with Tyler Boone here for a little bit, talking about how COVID's affected a bit of his early career, and of course about Boone's Bourbon. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about his early career, get into kind of some more recent stuff with him when we come back with Tyler Boone. Hey you! Yeah, you. Listening to The Harder Show right now. Are you in a band? Maybe you're a business owner of some kind, a performer, maybe a pro wrestler, an event promoter, an athlete, or maybe you're just an everyday person who needs some photo editing done. You need a great graphic design guy, and have I ever got the hookup for you? My man and close personal friend, Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. Whether you need logos, t-shirts, stickers, tickets, business cards, banners, menu, brochures, flyers, posters, Facebook banner videos, door hangers, photo editing and restoration, print ads, lyric video editing, signs, notepads, window clings, letterhead, bookmarks, programs, magnets, greeting cards, calendars, rack cards, invitations, envelopes, pens. Jason will work with you to develop a style that is unique to you and that tells everybody just how special your business, event, or you personally are, and you will stand out from the crowd. On top of the fact that he does offer free delivery between Cobourg, Ontario and Kingston, Ontario, message him today right now for a free quote. That's right, a free quote. Tell him about your idea. You got something outside the box, he will make it happen. With great rates and service, you cannot go wrong. I've used Jason literally for everything over the past 3.5 years, and I cannot say enough good things about the man himself and his work. So contact him today on the web at jaybirddigitalarts.com or on social media under jaybirddigitalarts. That's JAYBIRD digitalarts.com. You can also email him at jaybird.digital.arts@gmail.com. And always keep in mind that his business is successful when your business looks good. All right, guys, back here with Tyler Boone. We've been talking a little bit about kind of how COVID has affected him, a little bit about his getting started with music, and as well as, of course, his bourbon company, Boone's Bourbon, which is some fantastic stuff. If you are in the States, you should definitely check it out.
Check it out.
Because it is
nice.
I mean, I'm saying it's fantastic. Obviously, I haven't had the pleasure of trying it yet, but he explained the taste earlier, and it sounds fantastic to me. So,
well, thank you very much, man.
Awesome. Well, getting back to kind of a little bit more about music, I'm really curious with your guitar playing. Like you mentioned a little bit earlier about how you kind of started getting into music and like public school and high school and things like that. But as far as with your guitar playing, your style is very. I think it's something that immediately drew my ear to you with your playing, is because it's very. To me, you're a blues kind of rock guitar player, but then also there's a little bit of kind of some rock, like heavier rock in there. There's a little bit of kind of acoustic stuff happening too.
For sure.
For you, was it a very like conscious effort? Like I guess also talking a little bit about songwriting to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of both. Like there's some singles in the past, like with Paper Wings, for example, which is kind of a more acoustic song.
Sure.
Obviously Gettin High is very kind of blues rock, saying respectfully radio rock kind of. It's very accessible, but it's still very, to me it's blues. And then obviously like with a song like with I can't remember that. I'm losing track of the other half of it, but it's a Short Skirt. What was the other song?
Oh, short skirt bare knees.
Okay, I was drawing a blank so hard because I loved that. I heard that song because I was going through your whole repertoire, and I loved all your music, but that song was one where I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh,
it's pretty rock and roll, huh?
Yeah,
it's pretty rock and roll.
So
that was a fun one.
What was is that like kind of a conscious thought for you, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and write an acoustic song, and I'm gonna sit down and write a really rocking song, I'm gonna sit down and write a blues song, or does it just kind of come naturally for you with your guitar style?
It goes back and forth. So like I used to live in Nashville, right? So because of that, there's like opportunities to do songwriter stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like Paper Wings, for example, that one, and I don't ever want to be known as like the soft songwriter. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that was just during that time in Nashville. I had that big management deal, and it was country, and I was like, well, I kind of want to still do songwriting. You know what I mean? But that on that EP too, there's a song called "When I Was Young," and it's super bluesy rock. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that tune, it just kind of the time and place. You know what I mean? And so that one's done a lot for me. That's like over 1 million streams on Spotify, and it was like in a Bravo TV show once, and it's cool, and everyone always notices that one. But I'm always a guitar player first, so like Short Skirt Bare Knees, that was just a fun one we wrote with it was all kind of the guys at the studio in Charleston I kept mentioning, with Eric Baston's Ocean Industries, my buddy Eric Rickert, George Barreras, amazing. He's that bass line that he just, he's insane. He puts a lot of fuzz on his bass. It's just writing with those guys. I always did. I had another band before for years, and we were more kind of softer, you know what I mean? And I linked it with those guys, and it's like AC/DC, like big drum hits. And so when we started doing shows with them, this is where I was like, all right, cool, I want to do more rock and roll stuff. We played Firefly in 2016. Firefly's in Dover, Delaware. It's like Kings of Leon, all those, the Fits and the Tantrums, Silver Sun Pick, like Blink-182 played that year. It was huge, right? It's like Bonner. It's like any other big Lollapalooza, or it's a.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you.
Or like the one in the desert. What's the one? Coachella. You know what I mean?
Coachella, yes,
so
yeah.
It's just like that, but it's in a forest in Dover, Delaware. And so we did that, and we rocked out so hard. It was so much fun. when we came back, we're like, hey, we should like, everyone kind of felt it, because the deal with me is I hire you, we rehearse, you're my band, but I own the songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so from then, 2016 and on, I was like, you should, like, you know, write some songs together. And then for me, I'm like, send me, paying you like a couple $100 to come to the studio today. How about I give you like 25% of the song? So I always go to radio, so you guys get to own part of it. And so that's when we started doing heavier stuff. We'd actually write, and it was so much fun because I got to be like back in a band again, not like me hiring people and rehearsing. Like, hey, this is how the song goes, you know, da-da-da. It was like, let's go write. And so we did a lot of heavier stuff. And so we did an EP after all that, Short Skirt, Bare Knees. We did that was just a single. We did an EP in 2018 called Jealousy, and it was all these rock tunes, very bluesy. And then after that, I did another acoustic tune called Make It Right, came out last year, because I also own part of a songwriter festival in Charleston called the Charleston Songwriters Festival, and it's very songwriter. It's not rock, right? We fly down a whole bunch of songwriters from Nashville. And so when I did that, I was kind of like, shit, all I have is rock at the moment. And so like I'll go back and I'll do like an acoustic thing. And I record that with my band Rock Dudes. You know, they can tone it down. It was still the same guys, but we did that because it was more of like Americana thing. You know what I mean? And then I always play Americana Fest in Nashville every year. So it's like you got to wear different hats. I used to manage a band for a minute too, for 2 years, and they do the same thing. And I kind of like took a note from them. They're called Driving and Crying, big Southern rock band. Straight to Hell, Fly Me Courageous. They were huge in the 80s and 90s. They're still big, but they'll do like rock and roll, right? And then they'll do like straight up Americana, pretty stuff. And just, they have like what we used to call it is they have like a record collection. Mm-hmm. Like they go from over here to over there. So I think it's kind of cool. And I have seen a couple times people like will be like, well, I can't tell what kind of artist you are. I'm like, well, dude, there's so many bands out there that go heavy and then they go a little light. You know what I mean? I think it's just cool to do something different instead of always being like, and I'm not hating on anybody, but like, what's that one band, Volbeat?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Every song, I love Volbeat, but every song, he always sings like that. It all sounds the same. You know what I mean? And so the new single, yeah, dude. You know, that's how they sound like. What was Fred used to call them soggy pancakes, because it's good, but then eventually the syrup really drenches it up and it kind of ruins the pancake.
Yeah, it's still good, but like,
it's still good, but eventually it's like you want.
Impression just made me.
It sounds like the '90s, like Hootie and the Blowfish. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. But you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I totally.
Yeah,
we're very, very close in age, so like I totally like. We grew up around the same kind of like the late 90s kind of yeah. So like I totally know what you're saying. Oh my God, what was that one band? Crash Test Dummies.
Yeah. They all kind of sing like that.
Yes, yeah.
It's interesting, huh? But I kind of feel like, I guess we were asking earlier about like you go back and forth. It's just fun to kind of mix it up, man, and it gives you more opportunities. You know what I mean? Like sure. I did a tour 2018 in the Midwest, and I did it twice with David Cook. He won like American Idol back in like in 2008.
David Cook. Yep, I know the name.
And it was crazy, man. Like I was like, all right, I'll do it, because I mean, who doesn't want to go on tour? You know what I mean? And I was just solo, right? And obviously I'll loop and I'll do bluesy stuff. You know what I mean? But if I didn't do any Americana songwriter tunes, I could go on tour with them. You know what I mean? So it was cool. I got to do something different, you know? Which, you know, I think there's a lot of rock bands that do that same kind of shit, which is cool. I dig that, you know? Like, dude, since going because of, you know, Hoogie and Shinedown, what was the big cover they did, Leonard Skinner?
So that was Simple Man, and that was on the first record, yeah, you know, which still gets so much airplay. Yeah, right? And it was an acoustic thing, you know what I mean? But it leads to more things, man. So I think it makes you more of an artist, definitely. In my opinion. Well, even like one of my favorite bands, you know, growing up and still to this day is like Disturbed. You look at Disturbed, you look at what they did for years. They did, you know, na 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 na, and then all of a sudden they drop the cover of Sounds of Silence, and it's like, holy! Now they're getting played on pop radio. Like, holy crap,
dude! Shinedown did the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
It was very much rock. You know. Everyone used to call that term, I'm not saying Shinedown, it's just like the whole era of like rock, active rock stations, they call it like butt rock, you know what I mean? It was just like that very, Five Finger Death Punch, you know what I mean? All that stuff. And then, in my opinion, Bash joined the band, and he kind of put some pop melodies to it.
Yes, definitely.
And all of a sudden, now they play, stadiums. You know what I mean? It was like, ching, it was night and day difference. You know what I mean? It made them
a couple big signals.
More accessible.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's that word. I say it here all the time on the show. It's very accessible.
Yeah, because you could be very super. Like, there's so many artists who are like, I only play this kind of music. I'm like, man, you could, in my opinion, if you kind of play the game for a minute and do something that everyone likes, then you could be a songwriter for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. One of my all-time favorite artists, his name's Jamie Josta. He's from a band called Hatebreed. They're like a hardcore metal band.
Yeah, I know the band.
And let me be clear, worship the ground that man walks on, love all his work. But even he talks about it all the time on his podcast, where he says, I write caveman music. I write music people want to get in a fist fight to, and that's what Hatebreed is. You're not going to hear me write a song with Hatebreed that's like an acoustic song that's really radio friendly. But then he drops his solo record, and there's some very accessible tracks on there for like rock radio.
Totally
and
different.
Exactly. So it's good to have that.
I'm gonna look up that. What's that one band? And now he's like a country songwriter. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Default.
No.
Oh my gosh! Are you talking about Stained?
Yeah, Stained.
Yeah, I love worship the ground that Aaron Lewis walks on.
That was
Aaron Lewis is his name.
Yeah, so now he does like country.
He does full on like twangy country music, like full on.
But he's like a dick. You ever seen what he does?
Yeah.
You seen that? He'll be super songwritery and like get off the mic, and that's like a big Nashville thing,
Yeah.
Which when in Canada, a lot of people like that live in Nashville have like their green cards because they want to be like, because country's huge in Canada too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would meet Canadian songwriters all the time, and the thing to do sometimes at like those kind of like events is to get off the mic and be super intimate, you know? But he did that one time, and it was all over the news where he's doing it, and he gives everyone the finger and tells them to shut the hell up, and he throws a guitar down, and then next thing you know, the lights come on, and everyone's like, that's the end of the show. I'm like, what a dick.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because I like, humongous Stained fan, Aaron Lewis, like, my top 5 for me, and just I saw that and I just went, shit, man.
Yeah,
it's
well,
happened more than once. Like,
there's just guys like that. They're just like, I deserve to be, worshipped on,
Yeah.
You're like, all right, man. You know what I mean? I know you had a big single,
Yeah, well, that's it. He did Country Boy, and I mean, like, I love, and I'm not, I also can't defend it. He did an interview recently with Sully Erna from Godsmack, who's another big one for me. But like, and he talked about it. He said, man, he's like, there was a couple years there where he's like, I was a fucking dick. And I'm just like, at least if you can own it, does that make it better? I don't know. To me, I kind of can be like, but
yeah, but it's also the music business. You know
exactly.
What I mean? That song was on the radio everywhere. You know what I mean? And so I'm sure for a minute he was literally a freaking rock star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And he was getting asked to join the Songwriters Guild in Nashville, and he was just like,
that's cool.
Nope. Not doing it. If it's good enough for someone else, it's good enough for me. And they're like, well, you're not country enough. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, that's a big thing in Nashville.
Yeah,
it's like they call it the Good Boys Club, and the Music Row deals. And that was the kind of deal I kind of had coming my way. And it's like, you won't write the songs. You know what I mean? I remember that I worked at a very famous. It's gone now. It closed over and over again. It was called 12th and Porter. And if you go there, it has all these names on it, like who played there. And so, like, Kings of Leon used to play there all the time. And, famous spot, right? And so we used to play there, and then I also backed. I kind of bartended there. I was so broke, dude. And I was working there, whatever. But I remember this was crazy. I had this big management deal that I ended up turning down, and it was straight up bro country. And then Jason Isbell, Chris Stapleton, and Sturgill Simpson came out and kind of changed all of Tennessee, right? And so everyone kind of started becoming more of like this Americana outlaw country thing. But the band that kind of took my position, I guess you would say, when I turned down the thing, and it was just there's all these things on YouTube you can look up where it's like all country songs are the same, or it's the same formula. Yeah. When it opens up to the chorus, it's like a big power chord, and it's like the same melody. And so I forget the name of the band because, funny enough, and it's like it's a kiss of death if you take those deals sometimes because you'll get signed. And so like it's like you, they get you, right? The best looking dude for the next project, dude or chick, right? There you go. And then they go to publishing. Yeah. They get you a whole record. You should watch Sonic Highways on HBO, the Foo Fighters documentary.
Yep.
So Dan Auerbach, Black Keys is talking about it. He goes, they'll get you, they get a publishing deal. And the publishing deal is like, maybe you wrote a song, right? Maybe you didn't. Most likely you did not. They go get the best writers in town. Then they go pitch it to a record label. Record label picks you up. And in country, they go to radio, right? Big time. And it's always about number ones. Like, I got 5 number ones, whatever. Yeah. And so that's kind of the deal. And so I remember I was working there, and the venue side of the place, because it was like a restaurant, and then there was this huge stage. And they rented it out for Universal to watch this band. And I had to serve all the guys I said no to. It was like 10 of them. It was like the worst day. Because they all came. I'm like the server, like, hey, Tyler. I was like, hey, guys. You know what I mean? And it was, and then, whatever. I did my thing. They're being polite. They gave me a big tip, obviously, because I got to help out this kid. And then I go watch the band, and it's a private event, right? It's not like they sold tickets. It was a showcase. And the band was horrible, dude. It was so bad. But you had to do that to get the deal. And the band got picked up, and 6 months, I forget their name, but 6 months later they got dropped. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like you can get totally stamped, right? Yeah. I'm like, oh, they got picked up, so we're not going to touch them again. You know what I mean? So it could be the kiss of death. You know what I mean? And so that's that straight Nashville thing you're talking about, where it's like, you're not country enough. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, what? Come on. You know what I mean? It's a very calculated business plan is what it is.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
There's a couple acquaintances of mine who they go to Nashville all the time. They're Canadian boys just from down the road from me. And they've been, excuse me, they have had some success, and they've had a great time. They always have a great time in Nashville and that. But like, speaking with a friend of mine who usually goes with him to help him out playing guitar and that, like,
for sure,
he's like, it's very, especially being Canadian, like it's very, you gotta be kind of always looking out,
you gotta dress the part.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, there's a place called Red Door. It's like it's a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
It's right there off of Music Row. And I lived on 16th, the first street of Music Row for a while. It was like Harry Potter's closet. Real shitty apartment. Well, me and my buddy Sean, who lives out here now, we started ours forming together. He's not involved anymore, but we used to go out all the time because our schedule was different from us at jobs. So we'd be out because we'd be out,
Of course, yeah.
And I remember this one dude, I was like, I hate that shit. It's like, what do you do? It's like the rudest question sometimes, but also it's the easiest way to break the ice. And so this guy just standing there, and he's with his girlfriend, and he's just being a total jerk. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take the bait. What do you do? And then he lit up, Oh, I'm a songwriter. I was like, yeah, because everybody's a songwriter at the bars. Yeah. I was like, so what do you do then? What's going on? He goes, I'm just really into writing melodies. My buddy Ryan, who's hilarious, he owns a studio now in Nashville. He's drunk. He just leans over and goes, what, you write fucking songs? It was so funny. That's what a song is. It's a melody,
Well, I just like melodies, bro.
I'm like, dude, mean. Like, you write songs, you asshole. But very denim. Has the hat on. You know what I mean? They look
very denim. I love that so much. Very denim.
And I love denim. I wear denim all the time.
Oh, yeah, same here.
But I'm saying, like, just the look, and I'm like, whatever, man. So, talking about the whole Nashville thing, it's a whole thing. But if you can kind of go to Nashville and do your thing, you know what I mean, and like actually create a buzz, like Lighting 100 there, the radio station, they'll support me from time to time. So I've had a lot of success with that. My bourbon is sold there, so I get, when I go do there and have a show, it's just, you got to make yourself stand out a little bit, because everybody wants to be the cookie cutter songwriter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we played CMA Fest last year with this big tour we did, where we had the Sprinter band Wrapped and the Boone's Bourbon. There's a band here called Uncle Dwayne's Band, which the core members, Dan and Paul, I recorded and wrote the single Gettin High with, actually.
Oh, okay.
But they're like members of like second, third string of like Bob Weir, which is like Grateful Dead. They're just insane session players, right? And so their band's Uncle Dwayne's Band. We went to Nashville. We did this huge Southeast tour. It was last summer. And it was really cool. We played the Basement, which is a very big venue for everyone to play at. We were playing it the first night at CMA Fest, right? But we kind of like disrupted it because we're not country, And we had a huge front right up in the Nashville scene. Light 100, we had a big radio ad for us. We had like over 100 people at the gig, and it was country music festival. We're rock. And it was cool, man. We showed up, and I was like, because Nashville's tough. I've had a million shows where, wow, dude, we're going to be huge, because tonight we sold so many tickets. And do the same show again, and like 10 people show up. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Well, that night was great. There were so many people there. all of us were like beaming, like, dude, this is killer. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of country people were there, but we were like, you know, we're like rock and roll. You know what I mean? So it was neat. It was cool. So Nashville's tough, dude. Very, very, very intense. You know.
Definitely, and that's something that you do hear a lot about Nashville. And I was going to ask you about that, so that's awesome to hear. Kind of a little bit about your experiences with Nashville. We're going to take a quick break here, guys. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Tyler about his single Gettin High, as well as a little bit more kind of about what's going on right now, as well as his company Artist Formula. When we come back with Tyler Boone. Hey man, is your beard dry? Got some major itch going on, or maybe you are a sufferer from the dreaded beard dandruff. If this sounds like you, I've got the solution. Make your beard the meanest it's ever been with Mean Beard. Mean Beard is an exceptional beard care line offering the world's meanest beard oil, beard balm, both of which come in 5 different scents. They also offer a one-of-a-kind beard enhancer, Mean Whip. Their products are specially formulated with the richest natural carry oils and the finest ingredients to help you grow a glorious, healthy, and full mean beard. Proudly made in Ohio, USA for the meanest beardsmen. Now, I personally have used these products for over 3 years, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that they are amazing, and it has truly helped my beard so much. Not to mention that the people responsible for this company and behind this company are freaking amazing human beings. Can't say enough great things about them. Check out their beard care products, combs, and swag on the web at meanbeardco.com. That's mean, MEAN, beard, BEARD, co.com. When you go on there and check out, be sure to use my code MB15TJH. That's all uppercase MB15TJH. And you'll save 15% off your order. 15%. What are you waiting for? Go on there right now, and while you're at it, be sure to check out Mean Beard on Instagram, as well as join Mean Beard's community on Facebook. And always remember, folks, it's not just the beard, it's the attitude. All right, guys, back here with Tyler Boone. We're talking all about his career, how COVID's affected him, a little about his bourbon company, Boone's Bourbon, which you should definitely check out if you're in the States, as well as a little bit about kind of his early career working in Nashville. And now I want to get into kind of the here and now and what's been going on really recently for you. Obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about your single Gettin High. You've kind of mentioned a little bit. So let's dive into that. With Gettin High, you know, you kind of talked a little bit about the process of how it was written and that, but just kind of walk us through, like, where did the idea of the song come from? What was kind of your goal with the song? And then now, how has this song evolved for you? You know, you've talked about how, like, the song's getting ready to go to radio. It's had some great success on Spotify all over the world, not just in the States. So kind of walk me through Gettin High. Like, what's that song all about here?
So when I moved to LA, you know, I didn't have a job, you know what I mean? I just had the things I was doing, and I was kind of nervous. And then things kind of clicked, especially with Artist Formula. And then I got kind of, I mean, it is a record deal, but the record deals are like very far in between these days. Mm-hmm. And so then I got signed by Tom Serig's label, Anti-Fragile Music, which Tom Serig was like Lou Reed to Against Me to Gaslight Anthem to the band Cake.
Okay, yeah. He's had some serious heavy hitters on.
Back in the day, like he was RCA Records or something. And so now he's got Anti-Fragile, and we connected because what I'm able to do with Spotify, how we make playlists with ads, and so that's why labels hire us, because we put bands on these playlists and they start doing things. And so we met because of that, because he's really good at it as well. I mean, I will admit, when we released the stuff, like the label hasn't done much for me at all. It's all the numbers are for me. Because I landed a song on like Pandora, official stuff. It's like we're on New Rock now, which is like Shinedown. And all of a sudden, like Glorious Sons are on there, and then it's like me. And I'm like, what? You know, it's very
pretty cool, man.
That's gotta be cool. That was awesome. That was a big win, and we're still on there. So now we're like in the Shinedown seed, the Metallica seed. You start seeing it on your insights. I'm like, oh my god, the song's evolving. But the song, I wanted it to be more Black Keys, alternative rock. Like the chorus, it's a little poppy, right? But then I wanted to be more guitar driven. So like it's all guitars, and then we added like a B3 organ to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it just sounds like a rock band. And we didn't do any thrills really to it. I did a whole bunch of guitar parts to it, but then the mix didn't sound so hot. You know what I mean? And so that's when I hit Eric Bass up. I was like, would you mix this? And he made that song sound incredible. So it kind of just came together. It was the guys in Uncle Dwayne's band. We were writing. I told him, like, I got this record deal kind of from this guy, Tom Sarek. He wants to release it. Same deal. Like, instead of me hiring you, how about I give you a cut of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were writing for like 2 months, and we finally got one song, and I would go every week. So if you're like with BMI or ASCAP, it's how you get your, it's called your pro. It's how you get your royalties. Mm-hmm. And so if you know what you're supposed to do with that, is you can hit them up, you can find the rep over there. So like the office is not too far from here. And so I would go once a week, and I would make, because Artist Forum started taking off, the Boone's is always busy. And then songwriting, I was like, I'm not writing any songs. And so I would go once a week on Thursdays, and they can give you like a writer room. And I bring all my gear with me, my laptop, my microphone. And I just wrote about my move to Los Angeles and how life got pretty cool. And so getting high, right? Not getting high on drugs. Like getting high
in life. Yeah, I got you.
And so, and also the guys that I wrote with, Paul and Dan, they're like super sober. And so I wanted it to kind of reflect that. You know what I mean? Like, not about like, let's go out and do some cocaine or something.
I think
like,
so. Yeah.
You know, it was about getting high. And the lyrics kind of reflect that too, where it's like, now I'm out West Coast living, sign my deal, and I'm bourbon sipping. I thought that was pretty funny.
Definitely.
And so like the music video drops like, in a couple weeks or something like that. And it's really neat. This guy, Danny, a friend of mine, he made this music video where I'm like an 8-bit video game, right? And I'm running around Los Angeles as a little like, you know, it looks like an old video game used to play on, right? And so I drink bourbon, and I told him, hey man, I want this to be funny. So like, can I go like supersonic, Super Saiyan? That's when I drink the bourbon, my hair starts going yellow.
That's awesome.
And then remember the first Mario where you jump the barrels?
Yeah, of course.
And so there's a part where it's like these Boone's bourbon barrels are rolling by, and I'm jumping over them. It's a really cute video, man.
That's
it's
awesome.
Cool. And then like you see the Hollywood sign, and it's neat. So the song Gettin High was just about moving here, and you know I don't know if that single is going to be on the full length record. That might be a whole separate release because now we can't hit the studio. I'm not really writing so much. I'm just working. I'm working promoting that single at the moment, so I haven't written really. Mm-hmm. So maybe when we finally do a record, it might be a whole different thing. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? But it was a cool new like thing to do other than doing the Americana thing. I was like, I want to do like a really different kind of song. So I would compare it to the other stuff I've done. It's way different. And we did more of like a guitar up front type mix. So it's all about the guitar. You know what I mean? So it was neat. Like there's like the musical breakdown's cool. And there's like a solo. So that was cool, man. It was cool. It was cool when we finally finished writing it. I was like, this sounds like an alternative rock song. This sounds like it's on the radio. You know what I mean?
And that's what was cool.
That was our goal. That was our goal.
Definitely. Well, when I was introduced to you, obviously, like Gettin High it had like just come out. It was back in early June, I think, was when you released it, or I think.
End of May.
End of May. That was it. Yes. So I got hooked up with you just kind of right around mid to late June, and I was like, oh, check out the new single, cool. I check it out, and I remember I'm driving home from work, and I'm just like, you know, okay. And I'm sitting there just bopping my head, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of bluesy rock. And then it's like, oh, okay, like there's some cool, like kind of like alternative, like rock, like radio rock stuff going on. I'm like, this is cool. I dig it, man. It's a great tune. And
thanks so much.
Yeah, and then it's cool going and listening to some of your older stuff. It's like you can really see a progression. So do you think that, and not the other stuff wasn't fantastic, but just it's almost like it's a different. Kind of going a little bit of a different vibe. Do you think, you just mentioned the full length, obviously it might be way too early to discuss anything, but do you kind of think that might be a similar style you're going to go for, or are you going to try and keep it that you're going to keep things you don't want to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one style?
I mean, it's going to be definitely like a rock album, because that's what I want to do next anyway.
Cool.
But I just don't know if it's going to, because you can go to a different producer, you know what I mean? The whole thing's going to sound different. So it might not sound like it. I mean, it could be the same vibe, but it's not going to sound linear. Like when you listen to an album like back to front, you can tell it was all recorded in the same room, you know what I mean? And or majority of it was, because if you go record drums in a big studio too, that's going to make it sound 10 times different, you know what I mean? And that was recorded in a small room. So obviously Bass, he's incredible. He was able to mix it and make it sound like bigger, you know what I mean? But, he's also very talented, you know what I mean? So it just depends of when we get to finally go do it again. If I end up recording with the same guys again, which I'm sure I will, but you just never know because it could always change it. Like, even the stuff I would do back in Charleston, we tried to do it a certain way once, then we went back to do it, and all of a sudden it sounded better. I'm like, all right, we got to dump the rest of that stuff and start over again. So, because at the end of the day, it's a project. People get so quick about it, and they'll want to put out like a demo. And I'm like, dude, wait to get it mixed, wait to get it mastered, because you have one good impression. If that song sounds like crap, it's going to make you sound like you're like an amateur. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
For me, I'm so tired of that song because I've heard it a million times.
I got you.
But then after you release it, you got to promote it.
Yeah,
so that's why we went to radio. We're trying to go to Sirius XM. It's taken a lot. It's only been like 3 weeks, but it feels like it's been 2 months. And so like tonight after this, I'm going to be reaching out to programmers all night because I need to do my part too. You know what I mean? The programmers or the promoters are doing their thing. They give me reports, but every time I reach out to them as well, or any band, every band should do this. The promoter feels like, oh, wow, the band reached out to me too. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'll give them a test spin. And a test spin is how you can start building up something because everyone can go look at Mediabase. Be like, oh, because the reports I keep getting is from all the programmers now that they're waiting. And what that means is they're waiting for one other guy to kind of start spinning it, and then all of a sudden the numbers start going up. And, okay, cool. It's like a waterfall, And then after that happens, then everyone's like, screw it. I'll give it a spin too. It's like some guys are nervous to be the first one.
I do get that for sure.
It's a whole beast too, man. I'm looking at maybe doing like a Canadian radio campaign too. I've been talking to the same company that Glorious Sons hire. I ended up finding them. I was like, oh, cool. This is a good company because that's a whole other market too. Like, dude, you should check it out. Just because it's all about music, right? Whatever that documentary is, the Alice Cooper's manager, the Minch or something.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's on Netflix.
Yes,
he talks about it, and it's just such a cool. It could be A through Z, and it was F that made you blow up. And what they did is like they went to Canada with Alice Cooper in the beginning, and they ended up charting in Canada, and then the United States was like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting. You could do one thing, and for some reason, a different market loves it, and then all of a sudden, because now it's a big thing. Oh, okay, cool. Then people will take a chance on it. So
definitely, and I mean,
it's tough, man.
I can tell you, like as someone who like listens to the rock stations around, even just where I live, I mean, Gettin High would slide right in there very nicely. So
nice. Well, we might do it, man. We might do it. I'd like to try it. So we'll see.
Well, that's awesome. And obviously, with like streaming and stuff like that is obviously a fantastic way to listen to the song. But for the people who want to listen to the song and want to help support you specifically by checking out the song, like you mentioned, the video's coming out in a couple weeks, you think? Or what's the best way to kind of check the song out right now for you?
I think it'll be out August 4th.
Cool.
But you can go to Spotify. There's a lyric video on YouTube. It's like, it's got a whole bunch of views on it. But it's on everyone, man. It's on Pandora, you know what I mean? And it's on those big Pandora rock stations, New Rock Now. It's got like Shinedown on it, to Glorious Sons, we're like the top 10 track. We're on Tidal. I know a lot of people don't listen to Tidal, but we're like on Hot Rocks, like the official rock playlist as well. So it's doing cool stuff. You know what I mean? It definitely had a really cool, fast right out the gate, and that's the hard part, is to keep it going. So that we're in that stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it's like, record labels really care about like the first week. Yeah. And then from there, it's can we keep momentum? And
then they'll consider it a failure. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. It's very interesting. So
that's it. So you said that August 4th was the release date for the video?
Music video? I hope so. It should be.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. Well, as you guys are seeing this and hearing this, it's actually going to be August 6th. So go check out the music video because it hopefully is live right now. So I'll link it in the description down below of this video, or if you listen to the audio version, I will try to make sure to remember to link it in the description of this podcast, or however you listen. Go check it out. It's definitely, from what Tyler's described, it's going to be a really, really fun video. So
cool.
Definitely go and check that out. Now, as far as actually, also before I keep going here, as we kind of get ready to kind of slowly wrap it up, with the full length, keep me posted on that, because I'd love a chance to talk to you again once maybe the ball starts rolling on that, for sure, definitely. So. At this point now, obviously with COVID and that, how excited are you to start playing shows regularly again and touring again? Is that something like, I know you mentioned that like you're doing a lot of hustle, so like you're keeping yourself busy, but is that something you're missing right now for you?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like we want to hopefully start playing again like 2021, but like, dude, like there's people already now announcing tours and stuff. Like I don't want to get near that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it won't be till next year. It might not be till next summer. You know what I mean?
That's what some people are saying. It's going to be like this time next year.
Honestly, I think so too. And there's people that are doing live shows, and then they're getting next thing you know, the internet will freaking destroy you. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's smart at all, and I don't think it's safe at all. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
People are still dying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just had another friend get it back in Charleston. I had my friend, his parents just get it because a lot of people like, you know, they, oh, it won't happen to me. And the thing as well is some people it doesn't really affect. You know what I mean? But then some people it like absolutely fucks you up. You know what I mean? So you just don't know how it'll affect you either. I've had a lot of friends get it. They're like, oh, it was fine. I was done. Like Eric Rickert, the guy that was my drummer, and then he ran the studio that I keep mentioning with Eric Bass. He works at a bar called AUC's, and every person in Charleston at that bar got it. And he said he was okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it wasn't fun. You know what I mean? And then he got through it. You know, my buddy Will in Charleston, he just got it like yesterday. And he's texting me today. He's like, yeah, I'm okay, but this is no fun. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's, I don't want to get any near any shows.
Who wants to get COVID? Like, seriously.
You don't want to get it. You know, and you know, if I had a big opportunity to go play a show, and we went and did it because like, wow, what a great opportunity, and then one of the guys in the band got sick, then I'd feel like an asshole. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. It's not just you're thinking about either. You know,
we're not going to do any. The last show we did was the Hotel Cafe, which is right here in Hollywood, and it was literally a week before they shut everything down. So at least you got to play one gig, and then we were done. So because we're supposed to play a lot of festivals this summer, so. You know what? When the shows open back up, it's going to be absolutely crazy. People are going to go nuts. Because you're going to be able to go outside and go see music, and all the bands are... You know, I was talking to Hoogie about it, too, and he's like, you know, it's going to be very interesting, too, in the live music industry realm, because how many bands are going to keep doing it? They might be like, screw it, I'm done, because I'm now bankrupt.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? It's going to be way different come next year. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like, the bands that were, you know... just starting to really maybe get some success, and then are they going to recover from it?
Booking agents are getting fired. Talent buying agencies are going under. So it's going to be slim pickings when it's back.
Yeah,
so.
And it's scary. I mean, my heart, as someone who's a lover of music, my heart goes out to everybody who's in that kind of a situation where there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of it's scary times for sure for the industry. Like it's
absolutely.
Very, very scary times, but it's good to hear at least that you're, you know, keeping optimistic about shows happening. You're not rushing it either, because there's some cats I see that they're just like, let's get out. They're like, I get it, but let's be safe, because if we start doing shows again and then there's a huge increase, guess what's going to happen?
Yep.
And we don't want that. So let's be safe. You know,
you don't want to be the festival that like did a big spike again. You know what I mean?
Or the show where like 100 people go to your show and everyone there gets it. Who wants to be that? You know,
there's been a whole bunch of that's been happening though. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Didn't Great White do a show or something?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Great White did one.
I don't want to call them out, but like, goddamn.
No, but they're also known to like shoot fireworks off, and like some people died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So there's so many people that were just destroying them online, and they issued an apology, and they were like, we were desperate, it was a mistake, and it's like.
There's a guy in Nashville that's horrible, Chase Rice, really bad country music, and he did it, and he got his ass tore up the next day. It was so bad. The whole I think the rest of the tour got canceled. They had a whole tour, and everybody was like, "How dare you, CAA?" And then his management company, "How dare you, Hard 8?" You know what I mean? Like everyone else is trying to not do it so you can get over it, and then you go do it again, and then like there's a spike. You know what I mean? So honestly, it's selfish too, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I know everyone's hurt. Everyone's hurting for money, but dude, if you got to go do something else for the year, there's no shame in that. You know what I mean?
So, you got to go get a part-time gig or something to kind of help. Like it is what it is. You just find stuff to do and try and
it's just the world we're in, man. It's the world we're in. So anyway, no live shows anytime soon.
That's it. Well, kind of as we just getting ready to wrap it up here, kind of a staple question I always ask here on the show. It's always a fun question, or at least hopefully a fun question for people.
Yeah.
Do you have like an all-time, and this obviously is a vast question, but do you have like an all-time favorite show or performance that you've ever done in your career? Or flip side of that, do you have like just a show that was like just a funny, like it went so bad, a funny story? Do you have any of those for me here before we wrap it up?
I mean, maybe I can try and do both. I know probably the most killer show we ever played, hands down, was, Summerfest is a blast. But the first time we ever got to do something big like that was that festival I told you about, Firefly.
Yeah.
We were the first band. We had 2 slots. We were the first band, and then we had like a slot inside. So like they'll have like these stages they call hub stages at those big where people are like 10,000 people in those things. And in the camp areas, they'll have stages there too because they just want entertainment. And so we were the first band. The night before they had a DJ, and then so it was like all totally trashed. And then we get up there and play, and when like people are waking up, everyone's hungover, and we're just like, "What up, everybody?" And it was just
like,
so much fun, and people were like dancing. And then the funny thing is, because they made a slot inside too, like on an actual real stage, we were before Silver Sun pickups. And the thing is that people thought we were like a real big deal, but we were lucky enough. I found the talent buyer and I hit her up. I was like, I'd love to play this. And, we didn't get paid. Right. But we got free wristbands to go to the freaking festival, and we were there every day. So this is the funny part. So then we get to do the big stuff. People think we're a big deal. They're like, oh my God, look, there's Tyler Boone and his crew. And we're like, we're going with it, But
of course I'm a big deal.
Yeah, but we didn't come up in a van. We came all in separate cars, and we're just, and you get free food, you get free drinks all weekend, right? And so, anyway, the funny part is, like, the couple things that we notice is, like, everyone there, that they're a big deal. So they come in, they're on tour, and they got to go do it again. They're on tour. For us, that was it. And so we're there all week long, just like 4 days. And so, like, the person that booked us, Kristen, really sweet lady. I remember she's on a golf cart, she's working, and she drove right by us, and like, it was kind of a jab, but also she was joking, obviously too. She was being cool about it. But she's like said something like, "Oh, see, you're still here, huh?" And we were like, because you're supposed because your wristband only says the day you play, or you could like you have to go ding to get in. You know what I mean? It's like we can go VIP. We can just walk up to a bar. Well, I guess this would be the funny story of it. So it's Kings Leon playing, and it's like we did both dates or both shows, and we're done. And so we're gonna hang out, and now it's like, oh my God, dude! Like there's 1,000 people there, dude, and the stages are huge. And so you walk up to these VIP bars and you can show your thing where it says artist, and they take you like a big deal, like, oh my God. And so I didn't have a real ID because I just went to Nashville. I got pulled over. And if you get pulled over and you live in a state of whatever, they make you go change your ID. Okay. And so I didn't get a real one. I had a paper one. It was weird. Like they sent me in the mail because your plastic ones come in the mail. So the lady, I just looked super young, and she goes, "Let me get your ID." And I showed it to her, and I'm like in the best mood ever. I have like 12 friends with me. We all lied. I said this was like my video guy. This is my tour man. Just my friends. I just got them on the list to come up with us. So we're just like partying hard. And so the lady goes, "What the hell is this? You're not getting a drink. Like, get the hell out of here." And I was like such in a good mood. I was like, whatever, I'll just come back in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And so I come back again, and she goes, "Dude, I told you, you're not getting a damn drink." And then she pulls like the bar manager over, and everyone's standing there too. And this is where we act like we're a big deal, but we weren't a big deal. But my name was on the flyer, so it's like Blink-182, da-da-da, and then like in the little, it's like, my name. So the bar manager's like, "Dude, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the cops." And I was like so sad. I was like, "What the hell, man? Like, I just want a beer. Like, I have an artist thing. Like, how do you think I got in here, And so my buddy Ryan, the same guy who like yelled at the guy at the bar, was like, "You write melodies, dude?" Same dude. He was there playing guitar for us. He just went off. He was just like, "How dare you?" He pulled the flyer off the wall. He goes, "That's him right there." And they like looked at the ID and looked at the flyer, and they were like, "We're so fucking sorry." And so then we had like these big like chests, like we're dope. And so the bartender goes, "All right, come here." And I was like, yeah, what are you gonna do for us? And he had 12 people, and he goes, "All right, I'm gonna do something for you, but you're gonna have to leave as soon as I give it to you." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He gave us all, like, not like a small bottle, like the big handle of Jack Daniels. He goes, "Here you go." Okay. And so then we go back into the field, and the Kings Leon's playing, and we're just, like, drinking from the bottle. And And then someone, like, eventually at the end of the night, a cop sees, where the hell did you get that? And we're just like, I don't know. It was probably the most rock star moment we ever had. It was a lot of fun. So,
do you know who he is?
Yeah. It was pretty
That's
cool.
got to be cool, though. I mean, like, you seem like a really, like, modest guy, obviously, but, like, that's got to be kind of.
It was just that one moment where we got to pull, like, a little bit of rank or something.
That's got to be cool.
So we got that, and then we got to hang out with Two-Door Cinema Club, play pool with those guys. It was like our first kind of like big. This is 2016. This is 4 years ago. That was the first time we started doing big stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was more of a big deal because it was the first time. You know what I mean? So it was cool. I remember we did like a pool with those guys, and we shotgunned a beer. We were such party mode, and I passed the F out in the artist area. And I woke up the next morning, and like a worker's like, "You gotta get the hell out of here, dude. You're in huge ass trouble." It was just like party central, dude. It was so much fun. It was super cool. That was our coolest thing. But I would say, man, like maybe a bad moment. Dude, in Nashville, I had so many of those. You would put on all these big shows. You have to hire all these big ass musicians, and then like 5 people show up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like we've had those happen before too. We were just like, oh my god, I just spent $1,200, and 5 people showed up. So we've had nights like that, but then we've had events like Firefly where it's like the coolest thing in the world. You know what I mean? So it's cool, man. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome, dude. It's great to hear. And I mean, again, I seriously appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. This has been really cool for me, and I, appreciate you being so an open book and being such a great interview here today. And
well, thanks, man.
Of course, and obviously, where can the good people find you on social media if they want to check you out and kind of see what you're all about? Check out the Bourbon and Artist Formula. Where can they find all that?
So you can go to tylerboonemusic.com, drinkboonesbourbon.com. You can just Google Boone's Bourbon. It just shows up. You can just check that out. I'll give you a link where it's like a link where you can click it and it goes to every store. So you don't have to like go find the store you like to do it at. 'Cause it's all about streaming, Mm-hmm. So, man. So just tylerboonemusic.com. So I'm a big fan of just like Spotify and Pandora. So.
Check that out. Cool. Beauty. And I'll have some links in the description below as well, guys. So keep an eye out for that. And keep an eye out for the music video. It is, as you're hearing this again, it is out. So go check it out. Be sure to follow Tyler. Support him. Tyler, my man, thank you very much for the time.
Thanks,
I really
man.
appreciate it, man.
Killer, dude. Thank you so much.
All right, gang, there you have it, my chat with Tyler Boone. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. It was a really good time having Tyler on. He was a great interview, just a really, really charismatic, well-spoken individual. So, Tyler, my man, I appreciate you taking the time again. Literally, right after we got off the call, I know he was answering emails and doing a whole bunch of stuff, so appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much. Be sure to keep an eye out for all of Tyler's projects. I'll have the link in the description down below of this video or this audio version of the podcast. Look in the description and you will see the link to his website as well as his latest music video for Gettin High. It's a badass song and a really, really fun video, so be sure to go check it out and support Tyler because he definitely deserves your support. And I thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And if you're still watching or listening right now, seriously, thank you so much. It means the world to me. This is something that I do. I love doing this. It's fun for me. It's a great release for me, especially in these trying times, man. I'm trying to spread the word of great music and great conversation here on the show. And if I can take you guys out of what's going on in the world right now for a little bit, that's the goal. But also, it helps your boy out as well, being able to come on here and kind of just have this creative outlet. So I thank you very much for taking the time to check out this episode for you here today. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and maybe check out some of my past episodes. I have over 250 fantastic episodes of interviews with interesting musicians and content creators and just interesting people, as well as some great music review shows or music showcases, or what I call them here on the Harder Show, as well as some fun other stuff thrown in there, like some paranormal talk and conspiracy theories and just overall fun stuff for the most part. We keep things pretty light here on the Harder Show. That's how I like to do things, and I appreciate your guys' support, especially if you're still listening and watching again. Thank you so very much. Video fist bump, boom, and for my audio people, a little audio fist bump action, boom. Thank you guys so very much. It means the world to me. I promise I'm going to stop saying thank you after I, of course, give a humongous thank you. See what I did there? To my Patreon supporters. That's right, my hodheads over at patreon.com/The Harder Show. Got to give a big shout out to my boy Scott from Suds Window Cleaning here in Clarington, Ontario, Canada. He is the man. He's been a longtime friend of mine, big-time supporter of the show. Scott, thank you so very much for all your support, my man. If you're in the Clarington, Ontario, Canada area and you need your windows cleaned or your gutters cleaned out or something power washed, hit my boy Scott up at Suds Window Cleaning. He's the best. Fantastic pricing, amazing human being, and I can vouch personally that his work is absolutely exquisite. So go check him out. Don't waste time with the big guys calling up some companies that are going to charge you an arm and a leg to clean a window. Hit my boy up, Suds Window Cleaning on Facebook. That's Suds, S-U-D-S. And of course, I want to give a huge shout out to my boy Will from Rolls Royce. If you guys are not familiar with Rolls Royce, they are one of the premier punk bands in all of the world. Rolls Royce actually just released an EP not all that long ago that I did cover here on the show. I had them on to talk about it. It was about sometime in March, I believe, somewhere around there. So be sure to go check that out. It was a few episodes ago. Not too long ago, their latest EP, Larold. It was a lot of fun. If you're a fan of any kind of punk rock or punk, you're going to love Rolls Royce, I promise. So go check them out. The spelling of that is R-A-W-L-S-R-O-Y-C-E. Go check them out, Rolls Royce. Will, my man, thank you very much for all your support. And of course, I want to give another quick shout out to my friend, Mr. Jay Sweeps from Jay Bridges Larch. I'm actually currently wearing his t-shirt right now, his brand new Crow t-shirt. Look at how badass that is. Isn't that awesome? If you guys aren't watching the video version, you should check it out on the Harder Show YouTube channel, because this is a badass shirt. It's like a heavy metal t-shirt, man. It's so awesome. And of course, Jason is, not only is he my brother and helps me out immensely, but also he hooks up the Harder Show with all this fantastic looking stuff. And actually, the overlay for the main part of this interview was all done by Jason. So thank you very much again, Jason, my man, for all your support. Love you, brother. And of course, a big shout out to my Mean Beard family. Boom, right there. Be sure to go on meanbeardco.com. Use my coupon code MB15TJH. That's all uppercase, MB15TJH. And you'll save yourself 15% off at checkout. Who doesn't like to save a little bit of money? Go on there and check out the meanest beard oils, beard balms, and beard products in the entire world. Actually, before I did this interview, I actually put some oil in, and my beard's feeling and smelling fantastic. So if you need some beard products, know someone who needs some, check out Mean Beard right now. And a big shout out to all the Mean Beard family, Joe, Barry, and Heather. Thank you guys for all the support. No, I love you. And of course, the entire Mean Beard community and the whole Mean team. And thank you again one last time for listening and watching this episode, especially if you still are Mean Swell. Thank you so very much. I hope that you will check out the episodes of the podcast here, The Harder Show on Podbeard Network. Thank you very much again for tuning in to the show, and I'll catch you next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy, guys.